Today's topic is demystifying digital transformation. So, Guru, the word, the term, in fact, digital transformation, there is no standard uh, uh, definition. Okay, and which is fair. Everybody, has their own interpretation of
Yeah,
the term digital transformation. In fact, I was looking at, some of the big five IT companies and what they define as digital transformation. So, um, Accenture incidentally says that digital transformation is the process by which companies embed technologies across their businesses to drive fundamental change. So, this seems to be a fairly generic definition. And then they also further go on, which we briefly talked about, before we actually started recording. They talk about these two terms called digitization and digitalization.
mm,
Okay, so
mm,
digitization essentially, according to them, is the process of translating analog information and data into digital form. So, like for example,
sure.
scanning of a photo, etc., or a
Yeah,
document. So that is digitization, and
right, right.
digitalization is the use of digital technologies to change the business processes and projects. So that seems to be a fairly uh, good definition in terms of digital transformation. And as well as they have sort of differentiated what is digitization and digitalization. Okay, on the other
Understood.
hand, IBM uh, makes a slightly different point about digital transformation. Digital transformation,
Mhm,
according to IBM, takes a customer driven digital first approach to all aspects of businesses. Okay, from its business models to customer experience to processes
mm,
and operations. So essentially, it is saying that uh, you know it is customer driven. Okay, and so the focus of the digital transformation, while you are bringing about digital transformation across your processes, you are also
mm,
um, uh, you know primary purpose is to make a difference to the customer. Okay, so
mm.
what according to you, is digital transformation, or do you have examples, particularly since we talk about transformation, which means that there has to be something existing, and then you're transforming it to make it digital. So what are your
Mm.
thoughts on the term itself, and then any examples which have impressed you?
Uh, Firstly, yeah, you're right. Everybody tries to define digital transformation in different ways. So I would just take the analogy of the elephant and the blind man. So if I were to also define as a person who can't see the elephant, then I may say that digital transformation should be considered to be the transformation of an organization into one which incorporates knowledge of technology and the impact of technology at every stage, whether it is the strategic thinking level, or it is the operating model level, or it is the transactional level, impacting everything of the organization, right from what business are you in, what are your products, what are your services, who are your customers, what are your channels of interacting with the customers, and then look at your supply chain, your competition, everything. So it is the impact and the leverage of technology on all aspects. So whether you call it like Accenture calls it, say, the fundamental shift, or whether as IBM calls it the customer centric approach, everywhere you take into consideration the the maximum leverage of technology, information technology. Now, I have again another slight dispute on um, technology and digital, because there are some people who try to put in a boundary line between what is digital technology, what is information technology, operating technology, etc. For me, frankly speaking, if I were an engineer, I would look at only technology on its own, right? Uh, at the end of the day, it's hardware, it's software, it's electrons, holes, and all those things. So whether you know whether the app runs on a mobile device, or whether it runs on a desktop, or whether it runs on a workstation, it frankly doesn't matter. At the core, the concepts still remain the same.
True,
So
true.
I would say that digital transformation is simply the the understanding, the appreciation of the uh, of the power of technology on all aspects of business, and then leveraging it appropriately as the organization wishes to. Somebody can turn a total blind eye, can study everything about technology and then say, sorry, none of these suit me. For example, I mean, just being wild about it, maybe a coal mining company can say that, I don't want. I'm just giving you an example, but they will still say that, I use ERP, I use supply chain tools, I use various calculations done in terms of extraction for costing, etc., etc. So that's yet I would just say that it's possible for people to say, but at the end of the day, it is a decision being made based on the power of technology, the advancements of information technology that's happening. So that's one important point. And the second point, which you mentioned about organizations which have, done, say, a transformative work. I would say, in fact, while a lot of organizations are mentioned normally in various discussions, all the fanciful names that come up, because people are used to using those tools and, solutions on a daily basis. I would believe one of the examples which is not quoted often is IRCTC. IRCTC was set up by the Indian Railways, a subsidiary of Indian Railways. Now it's gone public with an IPO. What it has done to the entire experience of the of railway ticket booking, of various other travel logistics, has been amazing. And it's not just at the front end. I mean, to provide that front end, you need to do a lot of work at the back end. You need to have huge amount of information and integrations with the backend trains technology. I mean, what are the trains that are moving? What are the what are the schedules? What are the available ticketing patterns? What are the quotas, the criteria, the pricing mechanisms, the discounts. Even now, I mean, having the travel agents, all these are put in place. And you also have the payment mechanisms, digital payment mechanisms, the entire reconciliation, everything being done. So this is now a huge complex structure which has been created, and it has transformed the entire booking experience. I mean, when I was a college student, my father would send me to book tickets for vacations. it I mean, you have to go to a particular place. I mean, not even every railway station you can go and buy tickets for Chennai or Bangalore or whatever. You have to go to, say, in those days it was called VT, Mumbai VT railway station. You have some 50 odd counters. You choose the counter where your trains are. You fill up some 3 4 forms because you need various options. Then you stand in a queue. You go to the railway employee at the counter. He would say that, this exists, this does not exist for this date, etc., etc. And you finally do your transaction with enough cash. Okay, so that was the experience. So if you want to buy a ticket for vacations, you spend a day or two just booking the ticket, and somebody has to stand in the queue and should have enough ability to understand the train numbers, understand the various patterns, etc., etc. In fact, every time you go there, you would see a few people who are not able to follow the instructions, asking you for help in filling up the forms, in in trying to do the transaction. Today that's not the case. It's totally
Yeah,
transformed. I mean, anybody with an
very
internet connection anywhere in the country can do the bookings, and can also become an agent, and book on behalf of others. So that's
yeah,
the transformation that's happened. And here we are talking about millions of tickets and billions of rupees being transacted.
very true,
We are talking
very true.
about perhaps the largest train passenger traffic in the world,
True,
and the number of trains
true.
also, and the number of kilometers, railway kilometers, etc. I think we are perhaps the largest. So amazing transformation in the last 20 years. I'm sure a huge amount of technology, and all this is real time.
Absolutely.
So, nobody says that, okay, now you put in your request and then 4 hours later I'll tell you what's happened, etc. Absolute real time, so many concurrent sessions. Now, when we talk about technology, we can discuss this as well. What's the throughput? What is the accuracy of the transaction? What is the availability of those systems? How often do the systems go down now? What's the peak? What's the scalability of the traffic? All that is happening today, and the integrations with so many other players. And they have been adding services after services. It's no longer just trains, right? You can also book hotels. You can do some cab bookings. Now you can also book food at various stations through
True.
various suppliers. So huge amount of
So,
work that's
here
happening.
is an example where, which you rightly said, where the organization itself, has undergone a change, and then, obviously, given a completely radical, fundamentally different, experience. Okay, to the
Absolutely.
to the customers in terms of,
Yeah. I mean, Indian
convenience
Railways has created a
and
subsidiary
yeah, true.
and
So,
it's
the other
monetized
day,
it. Actually.
yeah, correct, and
Gone
Maha's
live.
monetized.
Yeah.
So the other day also, while it may not be an example, from an entity perspective, but we were discussing the other day, about uh, our own experience of booking tickets. Okay, that has also undergone a tremendous change. So that, as a
Mm,
consumer, 15-20 years back, the way we used to go
yeah.
to cinema halls and then book tickets, whereas now it's all become digital. So this is a this is a good example. But my point is that, the uh, see if you take, for example, Accenture's definition, where it says that, ultimately embedding technology to different uh, aspects of your business, okay,
Mhm.
to fundamentally change yourself, okay, as a business, is essentially digital transformation. But this has been going on since computerization started, maybe
Yeah.
uh, 50, 70, 80, 90 years back, when we had mainframes, and then that's how adoption of technology started within the company, within the enterprises or organizations. Then, of
Mm,
course, there was ERP wave, then there was .com wave, then there was integration wave, and now
mm.
we have what we call as digital transformation wave. So what is so different, about this, compared to, let's say, the earlier waves of this delivering fundamental change, to
Yeah.
by the businesses and for the businesses. Okay.
Yeah. See, one is that, as you rightly explained, each wave has brought a particular capability of technology to the organization which is using it, right? I mean, uh, earlier we used to have organizations which would automate, and there would be a separate room of the super intelligent people supposedly who running those computers, and churning out outputs which were faster than what humans could do. Okay, so that was one philosophy, right? Then slowly everybody in the organization started using technology, enterprise technology. Okay, so everybody became a user of enterprise platforms. Then came the stage, as you mentioned, .com and the integration era, when um, you know front ends for retail customers also happened. Then came the integration part. So at each stage, the organization's capability to use technology and derive benefits and influence various functions happened, right? So what's happening now in the digital transformation period? We have now reached the stage where retail customers, corporate customers, everybody expects digital delivery of products and services. I mean, even if I want to have a physical product like food, I still want an app. I want maybe a web-based platform where I can order for the food. I can track the food, but of course I'm going to consume the food physically, right? So same way, a lot of other things, e-commerce or retail chains, everything. So there is a journey for the retail customer. It can be direct to customer, it can be through intermediaries where financial products like insurance and mutual funds and all can be distributed through a intermediary, and that intermediary also gets a digital experience. So uh, the definition of a product, the delivery of the product, the servicing of the product itself undergoes a change. I don't think anybody today defines a product which is going to be just delivered physically. It is defined very that all these interactions are going to be digital. The transactions could be digital, all that, right? I mean, you want to buy a vehicle, you will order for a test drive online, you go for a test drive, come back, you do the booking online, you get the vehicle delivered within whatever so many days or whatever. So, and these have become hygiene factors. The other important aspect that's happened with regard to organizations is that organizations are no longer defined as pure individual entities. Everybody is now getting integrated with so many other players. Okay, so now if I'm buying something, okay, if I'm an organization and you are buying something from me, I can't say that, oh, payment has not worked because NPCI has a problem, or the bank integration has not worked or something like that. I am providing a whole holistic experience, right from my product comparisons to the transaction to the servicing. Everything has to happen in a synchronized way. So what has become important is not only this digital platform for experience, but the entire ecosystem of players who come together to provide an experience for the customer, the transaction for the customer. When you do, when you buy or you open a say bank account, okay, how does it work, right? Today, I mean, totally digital. You put in your Aadhaar number, it gets verified with the UIDAI. You put your PAN, it gets verified with NSDL. Then you put in some token amount, whatever the minimum deposit is. Then then it gets then your account gets opened. So there are multiple players involved in this entire exercise. UIDAI, NSDL, the bank, net banking channel, everybody comes together, right? So this entire ecosystem has to work. If it does not work together, then you don't get the right experience. And
Correct. Correct.
so today, the integration standards, the methodologies, all those have become very critical. I don't think there's any organization today talks which talks about B2B interactions without a complete API team in place. Um,
True.
by API, I mean, for people who may not follow complete technology, I mean application programming interfaces. So, I mean, the interfaces by which one application can talk to another application. So
Correct.
that is what we are, that's the stage at which organizations are thinking about. You are no longer an individual organization. You are part of an ecosystem, and your ecosystem has to work to the satisfaction of the customer, because the
True.
customer is not bothered about which part has worked or not worked or whatever. He's going to give you a you know a CSAT score overall. So
Correct.
that's the
So,
way it
so
has
there are
changed.
a couple of key takeaways from this. One is that the general perception is that uh, digital transformation is all about um, not digitalization, but as Accenture said, it's perceived as digitization, where products and services deliveries, okay, are or products and services are offered as digital experiences. So it need not be. I mean, digital transformation is as much relevant for services organizations. It is as for manufacturing, or other organizations which are actually delivering physical goods to the customer. So that is one
Yeah.
key takeaway. Second takeaway is, of course, it has to be like the entire experience. Okay, I mean, it
Mm.
cannot be half baked. Okay, that in
Yeah.
one part of the business it is digital, or even from a customer experience perspective, that certain aspects of his engagement with his or her engagement with the business organization is digital, other is not digital, then then obviously customer is not going to be happy about his experience, and going to be sort of turned off,
Yeah, it has to
right?
be
So
synchronized. Even if you have a physical presence, you have a digital presence, fine. But they have to be
correct, correct.
synchronized. I mean, you can't
Yeah,
be talking two
that's a
different
very good
languages.
point. In fact, this is also another point that that we were discussing the other day. The experience that I had, when I walked into Chroma,
Hmm.
where I could. So I was at the Chroma outlet, okay, buying, let's say, a digital a device, okay, and while buying that device, I could, redeem my reward points which I had acquired uh, buying big basket grocery. So that was an amazing experience that I felt, I had, which is integration of all their systems, processes, across businesses. So these are, I'm sure, two distinct businesses. Big
Yes.
basket is a separate business, Chroma is a separate
Hmm.
business, and then
Absolutely.
I could actually get those points. In fact, I was a bit taken aback when the person across the counter, he was asking me as to whether I would be interested in redeeming my points, and then I asked him which points. I mean, probably
Hmm.
I'm buying at Chroma outlet after 3-4 years, thanks to the pandemic. So anyway, so I mean, this is where you brought in the point of synchronization. So while it was a physical experience that I was actually you know engaged in,
Yeah.
but I sort of still could get the benefits of my transactions somewhere else. That's true. That's true. So good. So so
No,
far we've
definitely.
largely talked about uh, I mean, we try to demystify in a way what digital transformation is, and these were the two key takeaways.